Good
Namaste
morning.
to everyone.
Good
Greetings
evening
from
there.
India. On behalf of Export Promotion Council for Handicrafts, I welcome all the distinguished guests, esteemed panelists, and the participants to this very important webinar organized as a part of the virtual edition of the IHGF Delhi Fair 2020. A special welcome for Development Commissioner Handicrafts, Government of India, Shri Shantamanuji, Chairman EPCH, Mr. Ravi K. Pasi, Joint Secretary, Ministry of MSME, Government of India, Shri Sudhir Garg, Additional Director General of Foreign Trade, Ministry of Commerce and Industry, Government of India, Shri Ajay Kumar Srivastava. Well, some of them have joined us already and some of them will be joining us later. Minister of Commerce, Embassy of India, Washington DC, Dr. Manoj K. Mahapatra, Mr. Rajkumar Malhotra, Vice Chairman EPCH, Mr. Navedu Rahman, Vice Chairman EPCH, Shri Rakesh Kumarji, Director General EPCH and Chairman IEML, Mr. Neeraj Khanna, President FAIR, and Mr. R.K. Verma, Executive Director EPCH. Welcome all. Our esteemed panel has prolific international buyers, diplomats, members of chambers and policymakers, and I would also like to extend a welcome to all of them. In the interest of time, I would be introducing them briefly as we go along. Well, we are now beginning the webinar. This, ladies and gentlemen, is a new and changing world. A world in turmoil, a world full of uncertainty and suspicion, a world which was galloping at an unimaginable pace with AI and 5G and whatnot, and then COVID happened. The reality is still sinking in, but as they say, when the going gets tough, the tough get going. While the world is reconfiguring its connections and readjusting to the incongruence in the evolving world order, we are presented with the age-old, time-tested Darwin's principle, the survival of the fittest, which also has a corollary that the fittest always adapt to change, evolve, and move with a new resolve, new determination, new vigor, and diligence. With Prime Minister's clarion call to make India self-reliant with Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan, India's scope will definitely become wider, scale, bigger, and skill sharper. The tiger, we can say, has awakened, but is the world in sync with it? Sourcing India, the awakened tiger, home, lifestyle, fashion, furniture, and textiles. That's our webinar today. We begin with the welcome address by Mr. Vishal Chingra, Chairman of the Buying Agents Association that has jointly organized this webinar. Mr. Chingra, please.
Thank you, Mridu. And I'm both delighted and honored to be in such an august company. And I welcome Mr. Shantmanu and thank you for his time, which he would give us today, and understand the needs of the export community and also understand the needs of the buying community who are here to help us out, understand what they need from India as the awakened tiger and what can we do to give them what they need from here. The government of India being present here gives us the confidence that they will eventually provide the export community the platform from where we can lead and export more from India in the days to come. I also would like to thank all the foreign clients who have given their time today, which includes Ms. Tamra Friend from the Creative Co-op, Mr. Tim Oakes from Arden, Mr. David Moon, and of course, Mr. George Messing from Germany. I would like them to give us their thoughts under the given circumstances when the world is looking at India to be the next sourcing hub for handicraft, home textiles, and apparel, what they think that we should do as the export community for them to come back to India more often. The bureaucracy here today will understand our needs, the needs of the export community, and then provide us the field, the export community, the field, to take it forward from there. I also have on board with me today our ex-chair, Ms. Christine Roy. She gave us a launching pad to the BAA today, where we are today. We also have Anchal Kansal, our General Secretary for the past 4 years. We call her the awakened tigress for her work being done at BAA. And I would now request Mridu to take back the mic and take forward the communication and the webinar today. And end of the day, we look forward to some positive response. Thank you, Mridu.
Thank you so much, Mr. Dhingra. Well, India has been a sought-after international destination of exquisite handicrafts. Enumerating on sourcing from India through her presentation, as Mr. Dhingra just mentioned, the tigress of BAA, Anchal Kansal. She's General Secretary of Buying Agents Association. Over to you, Anchal.
So the entire idea of this webinar today about Source in India, the Awakened Tiger, came from Mr. Rakesh Kumar, DG of EPCH, whereby very rightly pointed out, this is a time when India actually has risen to the needs of the world to provide a base as a new sourcing hub. It always has existed, but it is just that today we are attracting more sourcing from all over the world to be happening from India. Keeping that in mind, this entire webinar has been curated and created. And I would take you through three basic aspects of the sourcing from India, which is why today people who are viewing us today and coming from the buying community and probably new to this entire sourcing from buying should be buying from India. How can they buy from India? Basic steps of what they can do, because there is a cultural gap between India and the Western nations. So what are the basic steps that you can do as a buyer to start and ease out your sourcing from India? And most importantly, where you can source in India and what you can source in India. So those are the three basic things that we're going to be talking about today. Why source in India, how to source in India, and where to source in India. Coming to the first part as to why to source in India. We have come from a very rich cultural heritage where creativity and designing has always been a very rich part of India's culture and art and craft. Given that, and we are the only nation probably in the Southeast Asian country, which is so heavily reliant on handcraft. And this handcraft does not originate only with exports. It has been a part and parcel of India's culture even in ancient times, be it the Mughal time or be it Gandhiji with his charkha on the sustainable product. Sustainable products, again, the second important reason why we can look at India is India is one of those countries where you have varied materials, and be it glass, be it metal, be it textiles, ceramics, there are so many different materials that an average Indian exporter deals with that it makes the aesthetic of the product looks much better. India happens to be one of the finest nations who are doing mixed media product to the best of its ability. Definitely, India has been the top runner when it comes to sustainable materials. Erstwhile also, we've worked with sustainable materials. As we said, the khadi from our old time of independence was one of the most sustainable materials we started back then when India got its freedom. And ever since then, we've continuously been developing new sustainable materials like jute, rubber, other things that can actually be more eco-friendly and give the environment what it needs. The due love and care, but at the same time, we get beautiful products coming out of India. In the microeconomic factor, there is abundant manpower, which makes India as a great sourcing nation. We are a handcrafted country with abundant manpower, which makes it easy for us to manufacture these beautiful products. High level of customization is very much possible in each and every product that goes out of India. So unlike other Southeast Asian nations, and I would say specifically China, where everything is getting done by mold, an Indian manufacturer is always looking as to how he can improve the product with the demand of his customer and improve the overall aesthetic to tweak it to the customer's style. This is not possible generally in a Chinese nation, but very easily possible in India. Flexible in quantity. Unlike the other nations, our vendors are very willing and very flexible in terms of the quantity they may want to ask. Yes, there are certain products which may require higher quantity, but most products in India can come at very reasonable MOQs, which people can always adjust in their buying capacities. On the macroeconomic level, there have been various reasons that has made India a very good sourcing destination. Buyers today are really looking to fill the gap in the product portfolio when it comes to buying products that talk soul. Chinese products are all machine-made, machine-cut product. Similarly, Vietnam is all a machine-made product. India is one product which is completely different in its aesthetic and its appeal. So this gives a completely different and a holistic look to a product profile of a customer. Then we also have the biggest threat that happened during COVID and even before COVID during the China and US trade war is that the US nations realized that they had really heavily leveraged on one nation and all their eggs for many buyers were in one basket. So today, India is actively being looked as an alternate sourcing destination and something that can be looked up to for sourcing beautiful products. Definitely, there is a high demand of handcraft today because people want more product which is handcrafted, not only machine made. Similarly, on the macroeconomic level, India happens to be one of the most friendly nations when it comes to its people, its language, and its culture. We are a very welcoming and a warm society. Our people talk the language of the world. English, if not fluently spoken by most people, but at least it's very well understood by each and every person. And most people are in India are able to speak English, making it very easy for customers to work in India. Government support, and definitely this is one of the biggest factors why India today is coming up, is that there is a very strong sentiment from the government to support the export sector. And that's why we need to move forward. The last part of this entire why is that India still only has about 1.67% of share in the total trade of the world. That makes India not a market that is saturated. We have a wide capability and a wide opportunity to move forward. Coming to the how to source part in India, a lot of customers at different point in time always find it very challenging to start working in a new nation. Like with any new relationship, sourcing in a new country also requires a lot of deliberation. It has its own set of challenges. It has its own set of cultural issues that everyone has to face. Keeping that in mind, there are a few things that we have documented for our customers who've never sourced in India. The first is, in India, there is a need for an on-ground representation. I'm not saying that because we're a buying agent or coming from a buying agent association, but from the perspective that buyers who have erstwhile worked in India without an on-ground representation have found it really, really challenging. We want the experience of all our buyers to be absolutely a seamless, a holistic experience, which can help you ease out your entry into the market. And it is not that our vendors are not equipped. It is just a cultural gap that a buying agent probably is able to assist a customer better, or a representative on the ground. It may be your own employee, a liaison office, but those people are able to understand the culture of India better, the mentality and the working styles of each of the individual vendors, and hence to control the quality of the product that you receive, to ensure that all the communication that happens is seamless, and most importantly, to ensure timely delivery of products. We always recommend that an on-ground representation is kept in India, be it a buying agent, be it a liaison office, or an individual representative. The second thing that you must do as a new customer is to make sure that you have guided your teams on protocols that are required at your end. Those protocols can be regarding packaging of your product. It can be regarding the test requirements or the certifications you may need in your country. It may be the kind of quality protocols you need or the performance test you may need. And in overall scenario, establishing the working methods. This is buyers are the same in their working process or in their ethos. And hence it becomes very important that your representative or your team is fully equipped with all arms and ammunitions when they go out into the country to take you forward. The third is identifying the correct product. We always say, start with the strength of the country. Don't start with the weaknesses of the country. India's strength is on a lot of products. India's strength is on different kind of furnitures, on textiles, somewhat in lighting, handicraft. Start with the strengths of the country. And then obviously once the vendors understand exactly what is your requirement, then you can groom them into more products, which may not be the strength in the, but can be the strength in the future. Identify the correct suppliers. And how you do that? You do that through visiting Indian shows, which we know in COVID times is only happening virtually. You visit in the factories in India by physically coming on the ground. Again, we know that's not possible today. Or you seek product presentations from the vendors through your representatives. A very important thing for everybody who has never sourced in India to understand is the handcraft or the production process. It is not unlikely that you will be disgruntled with what comes out in production if you're not fully educated or informed about the gaps and the handcraft and what it can entail. So we always request all our customers to please visit factories, work closely with your teams, with the factories to understand exactly what is going to be a part of production and understand the nuances that come with handcraft. And lastly, set an regular review process. With every new relationship, there are pain points, but all pain points can always be worked upon by active communication and finding solutions. Going forward to the most important part, which is where to source. India is a huge geography with varied resources from north to south. Starting from Kashmir, where you get beautiful shawls and beautiful work of papier-mâché. Then we go ahead to Ludhiana, where there is a lot of knits and textiles being produced. We also have the city of Panipat, which is a city of weavers, where you have the handcrafted cushions, rugs, daris, all the looms work happening. Delhi and NCR, this is the hub of fashion, the embroidery, the textile, the jewelry, all of these embellished items, including majorly apparels and fashion. Then you have Uttar Pradesh, which is a big hub of handicraft in India. Agra, for one, a city in Uttar Pradesh, is famous for its leather and its marble. Similarly, Varanasi is famous for its handmade carpets. We have Firozabad, which is called the glass city of India and produces the most beautiful glass that you can. Then we have Muradabad, the very, very famous and the age-old brass city of the world. Coming after that is Rajasthan. Again, the sun city of India is Jodhpur, which produces majorly all kinds of furniture, be it industrial, contemporary, reclaimed, you name it, and they do it. In Rajasthan itself, we have the city of Jaipur, where we have not only beautiful furniture being made, but also beautiful hand block printing, paperwork, and other items being made. You have Kolkata, which is the city of joy in India. And this is the hub of leatherwork and also dry flowers. We go to south of India towards Mumbai, and there we have your sheets, your textiles, your stainless steel work happening. Bangalore, although it's called the Silicon Valley of India, it is very, very big hub for the garment industry in India. Then we have Alleppey in Kerala, absolutely down south, called the coconut land, but known for its coir and for its sustainable materials and dry flowers. Then we have lastly Karur in Tamil Nadu, which is called the Textile Valley. And truly, it is the Textile Valley of India. All the textiles and mills majorly come from Tamil Nadu. We very well are aware that despite this beautiful geography of India, from north to south, showcasing so many different products, it is not possible for us to source anywhere from these destinations. And hence, EPCH rightly took a decision to launch the Delhi Fair virtually, and that is why we are all here today. This is all from us, from BAA. Thank you so much. Mridu, over to you.
Thank you, Anchal. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Anchal.
So enumerating on why and how and from where to source in India, that was Anchal from BAA. She's General Secretary there. Thank you, Anchal. And at this time, we have also been joined by Joint Secretary, Ministry of MSME, Government of India, Mr. Sudhir Garg. Welcome, sir. And I would also like to welcome Minister of Commerce, Embassy of India, Washington, D.C., Dr. Manoj K. Mohapatra. Welcome, sir. And I would also like to welcome His Excellency, Mr. B.S. Mubarak, who is one of the participants, Ambassador of India to Guatemala. He has also joined as participant. So welcome to all these people. Our next presentation, ladies and gentlemen, is by Dr. Tamanna Chaturvedi, faculty at Indian Institute of Foreign Trade in the area of trade policy. She has experience of more than 2 decades. She's a trainer to various export promotion councils, including EPCH, FICCI, CII, etc., at central level, and similar organizations and industry associations at state level. She's been in the core committee of PM's vision of doubling farmers' income. She is an impaneled consultant with Mekong Institute, Thailand, and has also been part of WTO regional trade policy for Southeast Asian countries. Over to Dr. Tamanna Chaturvedi.
So, good evening, all. We are trying to take this session forward, which is complementing what Achal has indicated. That's very important for companies to understand what they can source from India and what the India's strength is. While we talk about the 4 to 5 primary sectors where India has a strength, my session is complementing on specific product lines, and we'll see how beautifully we get to know that if I have to source carpet, it should not be one cluster, it should be the other cluster. And how do you take this particular call from a product standpoint? So we talk about 5 sectors, which is very, very important at this point of time. We talk about fashion industry. We talk about furniture, where Achal has already indicated India has a huge strength, Jodhpuri furniture to bamboo furniture to teak wood specificities across different clusters of India. We talk about the home sector, where we have a lot of strength in beautiful handcrafted ceramic products that comes on board. Then we have a lifestyle sector, where we have the porcelain, we have paper mache, we have the Ayurveda products, we have musical instruments is such a lovely sector from India to source. And we have incense sticks that we talk about, and also the essential oil products that India can provide you. So the lifestyle sector is doing excellently well. Then comes the home textile. You'll be surprised to see India is a hub of beautiful hand embroidery for that matter. And every state, India has almost 25 different embroidery across different provinces, that if you call states in India. So we talk about a lot of unique products that you can source, right from applique works to different kinds of bedspreads that you can look forward. Now, time to peep into these pertinent questions, that in light of the COVID and once the lockdown is getting over, do we get opportunity in all sectors where the buyer should look sourcing for all the sectors of mentioned in these 5 categories? Are the traditional export destinations lost forever? Lockdown is there in times to come in the traditional destinations. So is it the time to diversify? I understand we have an audience from Latin America, Argentina countries here. So is it the time to diversify for Indian companies for looking for an opportunity in the emerging sectors? Are we prepared to exploit this emerging opportunity, where MSME and the government's support is required, and what are the trade agreements that India is planning so that it is facilitative of the entire opportunity that India is trying to work out? So that's beautiful answer. Let us start with the strengths that you can see in the Indian market. Gems and jewelry, which is an imitation jewelry, that's the hub where India is all about. So we are doing very beautifully well in the gems and jewelry sector. One very, very interesting sector, which is actually growing at a very, very high rate, is ceramic products from India amongst the handicraft sector. We're also doing well to a certain extent in the glassware sector. When it comes to the textile made-ups, so India is a wonderful sourcing destination for textile made-ups, carpets, vegetable textile fibers, and we also have the advantage. Now let's take an advantage of in the COVID scenario, what's advantage India? Now, specifically, if you see in the fashion sector, HSN 63 is doing beautifully well, and you can blindly look forward to India for this particular HS code. And 71, we have an absolute advantage, which is gems and jewelry, as I said. In the category of home sector, wonderfully well, we are doing well in the table and kitchenware sector, where we have an immediate advantage, where the downfall of China, and with not any other country not ready to give you an alternate sourcing possibility, tableware, kitchenware of ceramics are doing very, very well. Then we are doing in a furniture sector, we have an immediate advantage to offer you in a bamboo sector. Now, more than the office stationery, we talk about very unique sectors that we are coming in, which is HSN 46, which is the bamboo sector. In the handicraft other sector, India has an immediate advantage in certain glassware industry, antiques, gems and jewelry, glassware, and wood. Now, it is a time for us to go that if you are not sourcing from China, which are the other sectors countries can offer you as an opportunity, and where India has an immediate advantage. Let's take an example of carpets. Now, carpets, India is decently placed against Turkey and Iran, but the time is now that we have to be very, very specific in the exact products that we say. It's not about the sector is giving you an opportunity. It is about the exact products that you need to work from sourcing from India. So for example, let's take this example forward. We are doing beautifully well in a linen sector. That's well, but more than bed linen, what India should be looked out is the table and the toilet linen. That's doing far, far better as compared to the bed linen. And ceramics, for that matter, ceramics for the tableware are better placed than ceramic statues for India, for that matter. So it's a time for India to, if we have to exploit this opportunity, it's not about that we are very good at a sector level. It is very important for us to crack the deal at a specific product level, and that will take a call to what Achal was talking about, that from where specific state of India you should be sourcing it. Because let's take an example of carpet. We have two states in India that produces carpet. So the carpets that come from the Varanasi cluster in Uttar Pradesh, which is in the north of India, and we have another cluster which is Jammu and Kashmir that's coming on the another state. But we have two different carpets coming. So there is an opportunity for Varanasi cluster as much as, because in the other cluster, Turkey and Iran is giving me a competition. So it's time for us to actually talk about specific product categories. When we talk about, this is about India's strength. Let's talk about where is the world demand going post-COVID. So we were just trying to understand from the aromatic sector and from the ceramic clusters, we find that in the traditional markets, so at IAFT, which is a Ministry of Commerce body, we've started analyzing for EPCH where are the markets which are growing even post COVID. So we found that amongst the categories of home sectors, we found that these are the four sectors which will do even after post COVID. That was ceramic, pottery, and the glassware, specifically the kitchenwares on the glassware sector. Between the furnitures of bamboo and wood, you see there's a drastic divide between the countries which are ready to accept these products. So these are export markets which high growth in the two categories. So when we talk about the world demand is going to rise in these sector categories, in these product categories, in these particular market like US, Germany, Hong Kong. Like for example, ceramic, a new market for India can technically be Vietnam and Korea, and we technically can take advantage of the trade agreements that we have signed in these countries. But then when we talk about this slide where we talk about that the world demand is increasing, but is India ready to capture the growing demand of these sectors where I have a production strength and these countries have an import demand? But it's not about having a production strength, and it's not about countries wanting to buy that product, but are they wanting to buy it from you, or they're wanting to buy it from your competing country, will all depend about the price at which the Indian companies are ready to offer this product to these countries. Now, when we saw this exercise, we were surprised that, let's take an example of linen. Now, India can be a lovely source for linen, as we just indicated, but which kind of linen should be sourced from India? Should it be an EPCH is code 630260, or we see if we sell to the US market, the Pakistani linen is much cheaper as compared to India. But in case of and that's the scenario across UK, across Australian market. So it's a time for India to understand how we can increase economies of scale and become more price competitive. And it is also the time for India to start looking for, it's not about selling carpets, it is also not about selling linen, it is about what is specifically the world expecting post COVID. Let's take an example how the consumer preferences are moving post COVID. Now there's 5-6 categories where the consumer perceptions are moving. Consumers are getting more physically fitness freak, they are getting more into spiritualism, they are venturing into their in-house hobbies, which is home gardening. Wonderfully well, we were analyzing, people have suddenly got traced of Indian classical music, that is specifically flutes for that matter. Then we have digital education coming up, and we have organic lifestyle coming up. Now how does it have an impact? Do we still do business the way India used to do pre-lockdown and pre-COVID scenario? So let's talk about what specifically we need to bring on board these 6 categories, and how do we actually do a design innovation to give something interesting to my buyers. When I talk about that people are working on spiritualism, and the yoga is becoming so important for the consumers in the West, how can handicraft sector akin itself to the changing consumer perceptions post COVID? This is about, when we go to one cluster in Uttar Pradesh, which is the best cluster for Muradabad, you get best of the metal sculptures of India. It is a time to shift from making sculptures to bells and gongs, because people are more spiritual. They're under depression, they're under anxiety because they're inside and indoors for quite some time. So people are getting more into themselves. So any kind of yoga products is what India with buying agents should technically be looking to source from India, where India is a beautiful hub. It's bells and gongs all over. It's musical instruments, which is flutes from Calcutta that you can buy. It's harmonium. It's veena that's giving you a mental anxiety levels are coming down. Ither and Ayurvedic oils. There's an entire cluster from India that's talk about essential oils of different fragrance, which actually brings down the anxiety level. And finally, as Anchal was saying, it is all about eco-friendly products. So khadi is something that India is very, very good at. So it's about pure handloom, hand-spun product that is woven in villages of India, very authentic product, which is much more better than a normal cotton, is what India should be will be looked at. So we see how beautifully you see the impact in the apparel sector. There'll be an increased focus on sustainable apparel sector. If you look into traditional destinations of the Europe, they're the product category. Now people are venturing out in during nights for working their workouts, working for going for a walk. They're looking for apparels which are wearable technology and smart. I was surprised to look into the websites of what companies are looking for. The consumers are looking for a clothing which has an LED light on their jackets, so that when they walk in the evening,
Tamanna gave us quite a few insights already. With the changing lifestyle brought about by pandemic, India has more scope for more eco-friendly and organic and newer products, which can be really tapped by everyone. So let's move on to our next section, Anchal. We now have buyer's perspective, and in our panel, we are very happy to have some brilliant buyers, brilliant because they've been sourcing from India for many, many years now. And they are from different countries. I'd like to welcome Mr. David Moons. He's president of GFH Enterprises, Angie Mountain, Bamboo Chairmat and Rug Company USA, who leads all aspects of strategic planning, customer development, and financial management at Angie Mountain. Welcome, Mr. David.
Hello.
Mr. Tim Oakes is also here with us. He is Vice President, Global Sourcing and Asia Operations, Arden Companies USA. He's been sourcing, developing, and delivering innovative products to the top 100 retailers and .coms and e-tailers. Welcome, sir. Miss Tamara Bryant is also here with us. She's Senior Vice President, Product and Merchandising, Creative Co-op USA. She manages a mix of over 10,000 products, 6 new catalogs per year, the largest showrooms in the US marketplace, and a tight team of entrepreneurial associates who support her. And also joining us in this panel is Mr. Georg Messing. He's a widely traveled managing director of Fink GmbH and Company, Germany. Well, Fink has had a long association with Handicrafts of India, and the company focuses exclusively on tabletops and home decor items. So having introduced all these 4 buyers from so many places, majorly from USA and also from Germany, I now request Anchal to take from here and have a buyer's perspective from them.
Achal, just a sec, Achal, before we move on, we have also been joined by Dr. Manoj Mohapatra, Minister of Commerce, Embassy of India, Washington, D.C., USA, Mr. Sudhir Garg, Joint Secretary, MSME, Government of India, and Mr. Ajay Srivastava, Additional DGFT, Ministry of Commerce and Industry. All 3 have also joined us. They are here with us on the panel. Yeah, we welcome you, sir.
Thank you, Raviji. Thank you.
Welcome, everybody.
In fact, amongst our viewers today, we also have Mr. Manish Grover, who is the Commercial and Trade Consul at and Consul General of India in Toronto. And we also have Mr. Sumod Sarasan from the Ambassador's Office, Embassy of India from Guatemala. Thank you for joining us today on this webinar. Moving forward, David, my first question to you with regards to your sourcing in India. What is the uniqueness that attracts you to buy products in India? I mean, it could be the product, it could be the service, or it could just generally be anything. What is it that attracts you from India?
Yeah, thank you for the question. First of all, thank you for the opportunity to meet with this group of people. To start, I really do miss India. It's been now 6 months, and I'm itching to get back. But thanks again for the opportunity. And Achal, to answer your question, I think starting about 7 years ago in this role, about 20% of our company's products were sourced from India. And 7 years later, now 70% of our products are being sourced from India, and our company has doubled in size. And I don't think that's by accident. I think that's because we have some very strong partnerships within the country. And there's 3 key components that I think make up our success there. One is the people. 2 is, I think, a very unique, innovative spirit that's present. And 3 is the handicraft, the handmade products that we've talked about today. And specifically around the unique people and the innovative spirit and how it works together, it's very rare, right? I've been sourcing product for 20 years almost. It's very rare to come across these passionate people who sort of see your vision and want to carry it through for you. And one of these people, Mr. Manoj Rana, is on the call, who's been a good, very close friend and partner through with our company for the last 7 years. But there's also wonderful people in Panipat like Samit Nath at Raj Overseas, who has a different vision for what the future can be. And it's not just about sourcing. It's about what does this global economy look like? And then how do you engage your US or your European or Australian or whoever, those customers, to bring it to life? And so that's what's attracted me. I've been to India now, I think 20 some times. And every time my business partner says, "Are you going to get on the plane again?" I said, every time I get on the plane, I come back with a new idea. And if I can't come back with a new idea, then I'm not going to get on the plane, but I keep going. So I think that is a testament to what is there, what Anshul, you talked about, and some of the core competencies that are present, and something that in my company, at least, our strategy around sustainability and handmade goods, it's a perfect fit. So those are the unique elements that I think make us so successful.
Thank you. I mean, you know, it's so heartening to see that we resonate with your sentiments, because this is what India is all about: the creativity, the spontaneity, the mindset of, you know, let's do something innovative and new. So that's what India has really been all about, at least on the creative side of the work.
Yeah.
My other question to you, David, would be, in your opinion, since you've worked for 7 years already, what are the areas where Indian factories should now start to invest and improve upon to get better productivity and to bring economy? What is it that you suggest to the vendors?
Yeah, that's a good question. And it's sort of a tricky one to answer, because a lot of the core competencies that were already presented around low MOQs, handicraft, sort of run contrary to taking on a bigger global market share of some of these areas. Yeah. If you want to have low MOQs, it's hard to do tremendous amounts of volume, but it's also very attractive for different types of customers. But my challenge, I think, to this group would be is, how do you enable factories to take risks to partner with innovative companies globally? How do you allow for those factories to take a leap of faith that could potentially lead to multi-level growth for those factories and for those customers? There's another piece around creativity. What we've talked about today is unique. And I think a push on where creativity fits into a global sourcing model is something that I would challenge this team to continue to talk about.
Right.
And then there's an element of cost which has to be addressed. I mean, I don't source bath linens, but I know bath linens and I know how the competitive landscape fits. And so how do you figure out that cost element? And then sustainability. I think the doctor touched on a very interesting global trend towards eco-friendly and sustainability that I think should be further pushed into the entire factory network and have that be a focus of when they go into production, how does this affect the broader environmental picture? And then how do I communicate that to my buyers? Because that is very relevant in other parts of the world, specifically in the US.
Right.
And then lastly, I think lead times are critical. It's very difficult to put like products up against each other when one has a 40-day lead time and one has a 90-day lead time. And typically India is a little slower than the balance of the world, and there's reasons for that. But how do you use automation and innovation to help accelerate those lead times to help further bolster your client's financial mix?
No, that's a very interesting perspective, David, because we also at BA have been doing so many webinars about how to bring in technology into businesses and get better things going, because I think that's the need of the hour today. And we just have to get technologically equipped, because otherwise the lead times and all the issues that we face today would never really go away. And to rise up to the challenge that we're facing today, we've got to move ahead. So thank you so much, David. And I'd also like to thank Manoj Rana, our Vice Chairperson from BAA, for bringing you on board today and helping you and us share our thoughts with each other. Thank you, Manoj.
My pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Tim, coming over to you. My first question to you would be, what challenges do you face when you're working in India in terms of the production capacity, the compliance readiness, or the pricing? So what is it that you face as challenges on these aspects?
You know, our biggest challenge is really that for our type of businesses that we work in very high volumes in a very short time frame. You know, several people have talked about how India works from a handicraft side, and one of the things is in our business model is we're trying to push from China during this transition during the COVID situation. So I think it's very timely with what some of the questions that have been brought up about how do you grab business, or how do you take a hold of what's happening with the COVID situation and see growth within your business. And for us in our company, we're making a big push into India. I've worked with India for many, many years, but my current company does not work that much in India. And one of the reasons I'm pushing is because of all the amazing positive things people have said. The passion, the handicraft, the creativity. But on the other side of that, being able to have a supply chain that provides on-time, complete, correct product is extremely important to us, and I believe it'll be very important as people start to make those transitions and really look at alternate sourcing with changes globally. So for us, it's the professionalism when we're looking for new sources, the ability to present yourself and follow through on a level that can compete with other countries that may have been providing products at a very high volume. We talked about low MOQs being a strength of India, but to grab more volume, some of these things are going to be bringing new higher MOQ orders into India. And how do we win with that together? Well, it's going to be through building professionalism, infrastructure to support that within the company.
Tim, again, you resonate a lot of thoughts with us, because capacity building has been always a point of discussion amongst our association, to say that while we're all talking about India being the next sourcing hub, one of the things that really we need to spruce up is our capacity. So, you know, coming from you, I'm sure all the listeners today understand what we're talking about is actually coming from the Western world as a matter of clear indication of where we can head But before we head there, there is some work for us to do for sure. Tim, also, I would like to ask you that has the recent sentiment in the world economy, I mean, there's been so many different things happening, the COVID situation, the trade wars, and everything that's been happening. Has this in particular impacted your buying decisions from the Far East, specifically from India? Has it like increased your buying, decreased your buying, or has it changed your sentiments towards buying in the future?
Sure. Yeah, the situation globally is a little bit in turmoil. We have a pandemic, we have some political tensions, there's a lot going on. But I think we're taking this opportunity to strengthen our company, and I think a lot of people are. These opportunities to move orders, or like we just talked about, shifting large MOQs to a new country, we're taking as an opportunity. So our buying decisions are about diversifying our supply chain, but along with that, looking for new opportunities. So one of those things that comes along with moving to India is, for us, we don't do as much handicraft related items to our product, but we're being able to bring in those techniques into our product. So it's definitely affecting our buying decisions and our moving, and we are diversifying a lot more. I think a lot of people are, and you have to take advantage of that opportunity to strengthen your business along the way. And I think everybody's going to win if we work on strategic partnerships. So we tend to do that as a company, and I think everybody should, which is you go in and you really build for the long term, right? So we try to find suppliers that it's not a one hit and then we go. It's that we learn to work together and we mature along the way. So what can we bring from our experience? What can you bring from your experience? And we're all stronger together.
Brilliant, brilliant. Thank you so much, Tim. Thank you for enlightening us. It's indeed great to have you here. Moving on to Tamra. Tamra, my question to you here first today would be, are there any specific challenges you have faced while sourcing from India for Creative Co-op? Tamra, you're muted. You would need to unmute yourself, please.
There we go.
Yeah.
Good morning, everyone. So certainly there are challenges that we have faced. I think one of the largest challenges for us over the last 10 years that we have been doing business in India is building trust, right? For us, trust is a foundation of how we do business together. Much like Tim hit on, strategic partnerships, we do not look for vendors to order 1 or 2 times. We look for long-term partnerships, and that is built on a foundation of trust of me, and obviously trust of them, and that takes time. So that has definitely been a cultural difference within India that has been different than other countries that I work in.
Thank you, Tamra. I'm sure that's a very personal thing, and you're right. There have been instances in the past and with different buyers where building trust over a period of time is becoming a bigger exercise. And that's why, when we were presenting, we said it's very important to put the footsteps correctly into the country so that it sets right from day one. The other question, Tamra, that I would like to ask you is, what are your suggestions to the factories to become competitive vis-a-vis China? Because Creative Co-op has been buying from China and you guys have your own offices sourcing from China. So having such a heavy presence in China, what do you think India needs to do to become competitive?
Yeah, so we have the advantage. Right now we're sourcing from 10 different countries. So obviously China is a big part of that. India is a big part of that. And our India business has grown immensely the last 5 years. And I think the key to the growth with the vendors that I partner with has been that they've been able to push past only the handicraft skill, only the heritage component, right? And they have been able to aesthetically adjust their product to what it is the world wants. I find vendors that want to stay in only speak and only develop products that are handicraft related, or India's wonderful heritage, if they only want to stay there, really difficult for me to grow my business the way I want to with them. Those are key components that make India very, very unique, and we should grow those. but it isn't the only thing that people are wanting. And so to become further competitive with the world, not just China, you really have to expand past the heritage, past the handicraft.
Totally agreed. In fact, another good input, because when we had this call with all our vendor base in Muradabad a couple of months back, that was one thing very much discussed, to say we should not only look at handcrafted products, we should also start looking at utility products that can grow our base of product offering to the larger world, and that can also grow our volumes of exports. So definitely very well appreciated. Thank you so much, Tamra, for your help on this question. I would now move forward and take things forward with George. George, am I speaking your name correctly? Is it George or is Joe?
Much easier is George. Otherwise, you react your tongue.
Thank you, George. Thank you. Again, George, a very similar question to what I asked from David, but since you come from Europe, you would have a different perspective to this. Would you please share with us, what is it that attracts you to buy from India? What is it that is really fascinating about India when you come to India?
Yeah, thank you very much, first of all, for the invitation as well. And it's always at the last in the row. Some of the aspects has been discussed already, and it's international. Each country has almost the same attitudes why to come to India. And for us, it's handicraft. We work since over 30 years with India together, with some families from the first day on. And that is, I think, the major point. It's a family business. It's traditional business. It's going from one generation to the next one, and that is also going with our company. We are also family owned, and that is vice versa the point. We do own designed products. I don't want to give it to a big factory where I don't know where the exclusivity is going in. I need an emotional product, and the emotion starts while developing the thing, and it's developed with the people, and the people put all their soul and knowledge and skills into it, and that comes onto the product at the end, onto the stage, either on a fair, in the catalog, on the web shop or whatever, and the end consumer feels that. And I hardly find a country where this is possible. And David, is exactly what you said. I mean, you jump into the plane and you are in the country and you dive into the possibilities. And then something is coming out. And that is all in that. It's not just heritage. That is a bit too traditional and old for me. It's more these timeless possibilities and in skills and craftsmanship.
Correct. Thank you so much, George. Again, reiteration of the same sentiment, which is very heartening for us. We know we're in the right direction at least. The most important question that I would like to ask you today, George, is what does India need to take advantage of the current situation? As a customer who has been buying from China, is there anything that you feel that India can learn from them? I mean, anything that you feel that this is being done in China and India very easily can replicate these things and bring into their production process or their product portfolios and take things forward?
Yeah, also good question. I duplicate, I never would do. China is China, India is India. And I think it has to be it has to grow into the country and not adapting something and copy and paste. That is not the strength of India. India is to develop and to create something from zero, with a very good foundation. I think without losing all the handcrafted skills and the tradition, some of the technician, some of the digital points have to come in. It takes a long time. We talked about lead times already with the former speakers. It's like, 90 days, 120 days, even more. Actually, we count with half a year time. That's too long, but it's also because prices will be given after first sample. Why no cats? Can we do some more digitization in it? Can we draw something where we also can do like we do it at the moment? We are forced to do it on a video call. We did it this morning for 3 hours with our vendors. So that is a big help because everybody is willing to do so. But also there we need possibilities. So the Wi-Fi connection has to be there. Cameras have to be there. The people people have to have a room, very, very simple settings, but that has to be done, and not in 2 years' time. That takes place now. And I think we should take advantage out of that chaos at the moment, that COVID shows the people we have to change, and not in 5 years, it has to go. Because time is also running and we have to get it into it.
Absolutely, absolutely. You know, you're absolutely right. In fact, when you're talking about products and CADs, BA just, in fact, introduced to all the suppliers and to the buying agents a new product called Poly9, in which you can make CADs, tweak products, show it live. So, you know, we're all working on that, but there is a very strong message for all our viewers today. There's a very strong message in what George is saying, that time to do everything is now. It's not that we can wait for the next 2 years to get onto the bandwagon. We don't make it now, we don't make it ever. This is for all of us to understand, realize, and take action quickly. Thank you so much, George. And thank you, Christine, for getting George here today. Thank you so much for that. Moving on, I would like Midhu to take up and introduce the people from our embassy. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Aanchal. Thank you so much. Well, as you just said, Aanchal, for turning the tide in our favor, what has to be done now. And India has to remodel, and rework in certain areas like professionalism, sustainability, capacity building, building trust, technology, a few of them. Once again, thanks to David, Tim, Tamara, and Georg. And now let's gauge the overseas market sentiments in our next panel. We have a senior diplomat and members of chambers from Argentina and Brazil. Before I again, hand it over to Aanchal, I'd like to introduce all three of them. Dr. Manoj Kumar Mahapatra, it's a pleasure having you here, sir. He's Minister of Commerce, Embassy of India, Washington, D.C., USA. He joined the Indian Foreign Service in 2000 and has held many important positions in Indian embassies in Berlin, Budapest, Dhaka, and New York. We also have with us Mr. Alec Nilesh Barreto. He is CEO and founder of Advantage BRICS, consulting company working in BRICS corridor with focus in Brazil and India, cross-functional consultant specialized in opening markets. And in this panel, we also have Mr. Alberto Gustavo Porcel. He is president of India-Argentina Friendship Society Argentina, that has been helping to promote new business opportunities, commerce and tourism, and develop commercial and financial bilateral relationships between India and two countries. In fact, I'd also like to tell you that many companies from Guatemala, El Salvador, and Honduras have registered for this webinar. So Aanchal, over to you.
Thank you, Mridhu. Thank you once again. Mr. Mahapatra, welcome today. And one of the questions that we are all keen on knowing today is what ideally should be the building blocks of India's strategy for increasing our global market share in the home, lifestyle, fashion, furniture, and textile product space. So we're talking about home and lifestyle space, and we want you to help us with a strategy which can help us increase our overall global share in the market. Is there anything that you can share your views on this, please? Mr. Mahapatra? Mr. Mahapatra, if you're there, could you please unmute yourself?
Aanchal, you can ask next question. Probably I'll talk to him. I'll call him.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Raviji. I'll move on to Mr. Porcel from Argentina. Mr. Porcel, if you could just help us with some interesting facts about the geopolitical economic environment, and how do you think Argentina is currently perceiving India in the entire world economy? What is the sentiments of Argentina for India?
Good morning and good evening to everyone. Thank you very much for the invitation to participate in this panel. What I will say, it's not only for Argentina, because also I'm the president of Latin India, and there's many countries working with us. And I will say, first of all, that now is the right moment, a unique opportunity to show that and demonstrate that India is the best option in textile, decoration, and other industries to develop all the kind of products that that you produce to the region. And you know why? The reason is that because of the pandemic, because of the COVID situation, everyone is saying that China, it's like it's not the enemy, but it's the unique opportunity for India, because India, it's friendly to everyone. Right. Because of the yoga, because of the culture, because of the history, because of the warmth of the people, because of everything that you have. Now is the time. And I will talk now from Argentina. Argentina has a new government that, because of the economic situation, they are just cutting some imports until they finish all the negotiations with the people in the United States and Europe. Well, something government matters. Right. But today, Argentina, it's importing from India only $500 million in a year, which is and 5 years ago we were importing from India 2,000 million. I mean, there were more. Then what I will say, it's for the handicrafts, for all these textile and decoration industries, we have a little problem between India and China. China has a lot of free trade agreements for all the regions. They signed for all the regions and a free trade agreement. Then they can get inside the Latin American market with zero custom taxes, which is a very important thing, because in Latin America you have a lot of custom taxes. There's not like Europe or the United States that you have a 5%, 10% to get in. Here, almost sometimes it's 70%, 50%, and with the logistic and ships and everything, it comes around 100% of the FOB, which is a lot. Then the thing to get inside Argentina and Latin American market is to have a very good price. For sure, the quality of India is even better than the China quality, for sure, because of the in India, it is like a family business. They put love in the factories. I mean, they put something unique, and China is like a big factory and doing without sentiments and without feelings. It is like that. Then, as I told you before, it's the right moment. The tiger has to be eating everyone now.
I totally agree. The tiger has to start being on its prowl now.
But Argentina and Chile are moving very quickly to finish the trade, the free trade agreement between India and Chile and Argentina. Your first minister, prime minister, was last year in our countries, and he promised that they will finish this year the assignment of and then for Argentina and for Chile, it's going to be easier to import from India at zero customs taxes. And Peru and Colombia, the other very good markets for the products for India, are in the same situation. Then I will say that next year, 2021, it's going to be the best time to introduce all the products that you have in a best in the best way, because they're going to get inside in very good level of prices.
Brilliant. Mr. Porcel, that's very, very heartening to hear all of this. I'm sure that has generated a lot of excitement amongst our vendor community right now, because it's just a perfect situation with no taxes and no customs. If you're able to introduce so much of products, it's going to be a great, great going for all of us. Thank you so much. Thank you. Mr. Barreto, I would like to ask the same question of you. When it comes to Brazil, do you think India has a certain perception on the geopolitical economic environment, and what is it that Brazil perceives India as?
Well, it's an interesting question, Anchan, and I would like to thank you for the opportunity in participating in this panel. When we look at Brazil and India, we see that there is, if you look at COVID now and the pandemic all across the globe, we see that Brazilian companies are looking to reduce dependency on one country itself, and moving into sourcing from different countries, having different partners. And we have seen for the last 15 to 20 years that Brazil has been a partner of India. Our presidents, our new presidents, Prime Minister Modi and President Bolsonaro have good relations. This has improved a little bit of trade between both countries. Both of them have set a target in 2022 of $15 billion of bilateral trade. Today, we are at half of this amount. So Brazilians look at Indians as a country of similar values, family cultures. They look at India. We were fortunate in 2009 to have a Brazilian soap opera, an Indian soap opera called The Road to India. And this helped improve culture between both countries. Brazilians came to know a little bit more about how India functions culturally and politically.
Right.
And with COVID, we are seeing new trends in the market. We are seeing a lot of yoga, a lot of people spending time at home. We see that the soft power of India might be useful at this moment of culture and spirituality and the new lifestyles of eating healthier foods. And so we are seeing new trends, new influences, and this is going to help a lot in getting new niches in the market. So as Dr. Tamana mentioned about spirituality, this will definitely improve the acquisition of different kinds of products in these markets. And in comparison with other countries, I think Brazilians look at India as a country of creativity, and not only as a cheap cost destination. So in this area, I think post-COVID and during COVID also, as another panelist mentioned, that time is now, Brazilians are going to seek more opportunities with India.
Brilliant. Thank you, Mr. Barreto. While we were chatting up, one of the viewers have messaged all of us saying that Brazil imposes more than 50% duty for handmade rugs from India. We should sign an FTA to make it zero rated, just like Argentina. So probably that's good. Something we would request you take forward on behalf of this webinar, at least today.
Yes, we have similar challenges as Argentina in terms of taxation.
Correct.
But I think we can build up on other things.
Absolutely. Great. Thank you so much, Mr. Barreto. Mr. Mohapatra, if you're able to hear us, can we come back to you? Okay, so while we're still not able to connect with Mr. Mohapatra, we also have Mr. Grover, Mr. Manish Grover from Toronto. He's a Consul General from Toronto. Mr. Grover, can we have, are you able to hear us?
Yes, absolutely. Hi, how are you?
Very well. Thank you, Mr. Grover. I would like to ask you on, I know it's a very non-informed question, so we'll do the best we can. But what should be the building blocks of India's strategy in getting more market share in the global economy, in the global trade, when it comes to products like home, lifestyle, fashion, and furniture? Is there something that you can put forward as a suggestions or thought of what we could do to improve our market share on these products?
Yeah, Anchal, first of all, just a small correction. I'm actually on the West Coast. I'm at the Indian consulate in Vancouver.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Yeah, well, there is, I mean, apart from the distance, there is a 3-hour, time lag as well.
Yeah.
And I'm the consul for commerce and trade. Actually, I'm not the consul general.
Oh, my apologies for
not a problem.
the messages.
Not a problem. I would like to, taking a broader question, actually, the thing is that it's actually, too early days, basically, while we are all grappling with this new normal that's happened, and and trying to also work on the on filling this gap where the supply chains are going to be possibly shifting from China to other countries, and then while we are trying to take a share of that, I think India needs to leverage itself as a destination which has been traditionally very forthcoming and easy to do business in, and that that whole scenario has been changing for the last 5-6 years.
Right.
Ever since we've had Prime Minister Modi improve the India's rankings, the World Bank rankings of ease of doing business. I think we need to build on that, first of all, more. And the other thing is, I would like to, in fact, turn this around a little bit on BAA, for that matter, and see, because we are diplomats handling so many other things as well.
Right.
One of the things that we do, of course, and when you're in a small office like the like the consulate, the embassies have more, people who are more akin to their jobs and all. But for smaller offices, we are handling multiple portfolios. So I would just like to turn this around and ask BA if somehow you could come out with a white paper and give us some guidance on how you would want us to leverage our positions here and our, basically, how you would like us to leverage ourselves here so that we can help you secure more, linkages and more business eventually. So if you could bring up, come up with some kind of a white paper that would really help us to go forward and to see what the consulates, in their capacity can do here for organizations like BAA and so many others.
Indeed, it's a great opportunity for us, Mr. Grover. We would definitely like to put across a white paper. I assure you and I promise you we will work towards it in our organization, and we'll be in touch with you. We need people like you to handhold us and take things forward with us. So thank you for putting that opportunity and giving us that opportunity. You will definitely hear from us on this.
Thank you.
We now have Mr. Mahapatra, and I believe, Dr. Mahapatra, can you hear us now?
Yes, please.
Oh, perfect. Great. Thank you. So, Dr. Mahapatra, I would like to ask you the same question I just had with Mr. Grover regarding what strategy do you think India can utilize to garner a better share in the global market when it comes to products of home and lifestyle, furniture, fashion, and other textile products?
Yes, first of all, thank you very much. I would like to thank the Director General Rakesh Kumar sir and the Secretary Textile sir and the Ravi Kapoor and DC Handicraft Santanu sir for inviting the Indian Embassy. And to come back to your particular question, I would be saying, if you look, I will give you another little bit long answer so that people can understand. It is USA, it is not other country. 1/3 of our export, if you one is looking at, it is USA. If you look at that, when the present government came to power, that was in 2016-17, the immediate target was to balance the trade between the USA and all other countries, whether it is China, whether it is India, whether it is the Canada or Mexico. Basically, they try to balance the trade, while the focus was on China, but somewhere the India was also in the picture. If you see that 2019, they removed the GSP, and we started negotiating for a small trade package. So what I am trying to say here is that while USA market is quite important for us, but it is not a small market, and they are looking at some some of the products which would be basically liked by them. Now, while I am talking about the GSP withdrawal, what I would be saying, 2017-18, when they were targeting one other country, bigger country, at that time we could not get any mileage. We could not take the benefit of that dispute between the USA and that particular country, because the focus was also on India, that how would they balance the trade imbalance with us. So GSP was withdrawn. But the withdrawal of GSP has conveyed some other things to us also. Like, despite the withdrawal of GSP, we have seen, because of some of our products, particularly of our lifestyle, home, furniture and textile products, there have been significant 5.5% growth in those lines, and that shows that these are the resilient products in USA. We are in touch with the associations of the apparel, footwear, and some of the other associations here. They are looking forward to have a small trade package which would enable them to focus India. So for here, what I would be saying, my initial reaction is that as our products have the resilience, we have a big market, and our bilateral trade stands at 150 billion. And if you would be looking at that, when 85 billion US dollar we are exporting in a year, and the opportunities are enormous. But there are some challenges are there where EPCH can come to the picture. In 2019, if you look at, more than 1800 consignments, not only it is the fashion, furniture, lifestyle, or home, more than 1800 or 1900 the consignments were rejected by USA because of our faulty procedure or paper submission or all the branding, all those things. So what I would be requesting to EPCH is that please encourage, educate all our exporters so that at least they should be adhering to the requirements of this country. And there, that would be very much helpful. One, we have the resilient products. The second is that if we would be educating our exporters, that would be helpful, and we would be converting the challenges that currently faced by both the countries because COVID-19. And they have, it has shown the way we have supplied the medicines, and we have become pharmacy of the world. And the USA recognized this one, because when at their point of need also, we have supplied the essential medicines. We have removed around 24 products or the APIs from the restricted list to allowed them to come to USA. So they see this one, that India is a reliable partner, and therefore what would be in our interest is that to convert this pandemic situation to an opportunity, and our products have resilience, and if we can educate our exporters, that would be very much helpful for us to increase our export to USA. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mahapatra, and that is indeed very important for us. Thank you for sharing your thoughts with us.
Anchal, may I just, because Mr. Mahapatra just referred to the EPCH.
Correct.
If you permit me, I would just like to
Please, I was in fact going to ask you to take this up.
Yeah. First of all, thank you very much, Mr. Mahapatra. Early hours, you have joined us, and you have really given us a lot of inputs. In fact, we were also not aware about the situation. So many number of the documents were rejected. And I think this is the one point we can take up in our study that is now being conducted by Indian Institute of Foreign Trade, and that has been assigned by the Uniqueness Handicraft. So in that study, we would be definitely including what kind of the documents that have been rejected. and certainly we'll have a series of the tutorials or a complete training session. So that definitely on this account, we are not at all losing any business. Second, I would also like to just mention on Mr. Alberto for Argentina and also the entire Latin America, a lot of FTA and PTA agreements are already in discussion. EPCH has already submitted through the Commerce Ministry for the FTA and PTA both. And the Argentina and Chile, as Alberto also rightly said, there are already the discussions are in the advanced stages. Hopefully, we will be able to address this particular point also in our study. So Tamanna ji can note down in the IFT study this particular point, not only for the Latin America, but also for the other country where China and the Southeast Asia and other countries, our competitor countries, are making any dent in the markets. We have to study those HS code, and where we don't have FTA or PTA with those countries, we should definitely encash on those particular countries and the FTA PTA. So thank you very much, Anchal ji.
So from IFT, we're already doing this study for EPCH, as you rightly indicated. A very detailed line-by-line analysis across all the 5 sectors have been taken, where there is a huge demand for Indian companies to be on board, and we're not able to supply just because we have a tariff disadvantage. So those exact HSN codes which can be kept in the open category is already under research. Thank you.
And also, Tamanna ji, include what Mr. Mahapatra mentioned.
Yes, noted, sir. Noted.
Yeah.
Noted.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rakesh ji. Thank you, Tamanna.
I will say, Mr. Can I say 2 words more?
Yes, please, Mr. Force.
2 words more?
Please.
Okay. I will say that in the meantime, there is a very good opportunity for the industries of India. It's to make some joint ventures, because we have a free trade commerce between our region without no taxes, custom taxes in all Latin America, and then if we have Indian industries in a joint venture with Argentinian or Chilean or Brazilian or Peruvian or Colombian industries together, they can produce together and then get inside this market even better situation that the other markets of the world. We have markets in Latin America, I would say, between Indian and Latin American companies.
Mr. Porcel, thank you so much. Although the connection was slightly bad, so we couldn't understand a little part of what you said, but I think we've got the gist about what you're talking about. Thank you so much for your views. And Rakesh ji, like we always say, when people are thinking you're already acting, you've proven it true yet again. We were thinking about FTAs and you're already working on that. Thank you so much. Going forward, Mridu, can I request you to introduce the last panel, please?
Thank you, Anchal. Thank you for that very interesting panel discussion. We would also like to thank Dr. Mahapatra once again, Mr. Alberto, Mr. Barreto, and Mr. Grover for apprising us of the market sentiments in USA, Argentina, Brazil, and Toronto. Thank you for your insights. I hope these insights will help us in charting a new and a better and improved path. Well, talking about the next session, the synergy between the government, that is the policymakers, and the industry becomes imminent to achieve the desired results, throwing light on the theme of the policy initiatives of the government. In our next panel is, our esteemed group. We are very honored to have Mr. Sudhir Garg with us. He's Joint Secretary, Ministry of MSME, Government of India, with over 33 years of experience in developing infrastructure and related policy framework. He is presenting presently working to support industrial infrastructure in rural and semi-urban areas. His expertise in rural industrialization, energy transportation, infrastructure development, industrial modernization, and renewable energy have stood him in good stead in various assignments in ministries of government. We're also honored to have Shri Ajay Kumar Srivastava, Additional Director General, Foreign Trade, Ministry of Commerce and Industry, Government of India. Mr. Srivastava is currently posted at the Department of Commerce and has worked in areas of trade policy, making WTO and FTA negotiations, etc. And of course, DG sir is always here. He's a source of great inspiration, a kind of beacon light for all the organizations he's heading, a visionary. He, like Anchal said, he starts doing while the other people are still thinking. He has in fact steered IEML and EPCH to great heights with his leadership skills. And kya bole sir ke bare mein, he conceptualized India's first state-of-the-art exhibition and mart at Greater Noida, IEML. He initiated and formed BAA. He was the past president of IEIA and is also governing body member of the Council of EU Chambers of Commerce in India, started the IHGF fair. Sir, over to you. Anchal now, you can just take forward this session.
Thank you so much, Mridu. Thank you. Welcome, Mr. Srivastava. We indeed very delighted to have you here today. So while you've heard the sentiments from our buyers today, unfortunately our buyers had to leave because of their schedule. Some of them, we still have David thankfully here. And we also know when the buyers are talking about issues that they face with India, and we talk the same issues with our suppliers, they always come back to us saying that there are certain constraints that we face as a producer or a manufacturer. So we would like you to help us today in just enumerating what the government of India today is doing to ensure the so-called ease of business. We've always been talking about easing business to India. So what is the government doing about ease of business in terms of the labor laws, policy initiatives, and the infrastructure? If you could just help guide us through that part of the policy.
Thanks, Anchal, and good evening, and thanks for having me in this session. Before answering your question, I would like to talk about the Brazilian FTAs. This was discussed a lot in the previous session.
Right.
India already has a small PTA with Mercosur countries. They include Uruguay, Paraguay, Brazil, and Argentina. So Brazil is a part of it, where the duty, I just learned, is 40 or 50% on handicraft. So I just checked during the session. Currently, handicraft products are not covered. It's a very small PTA. But the PTA is undergoing expansion. So I'll request the EPCH to request government, Ministry of Commerce, to include handicraft products. So that's number one. Now coming to your question, ease of doing business. You know, ease of doing business is the top priority, one of the top priority items for the Prime Minister, nobody less. So I'll talk about 3-4 key reforms which have happened in the past few years. And the first is about labor laws. You know, labor laws, they have been troublesome, we are hearing for long. So right now, a very ambitious exercise is going on for subsuming 29 labor laws into just 4 codes. These are the codes on wages, occupational safety and health, industrial relations, and social security. We are very sure that the compliance burden of the firms will come down substantially. At the same time, it will benefit the workers' legitimate interests. So labor laws, something very ambitious is going on. For the first time, it has been attempted.
Great.
Now I talk about the policy initiatives. Next. You are aware that because of the COVID situation, government has extended the timelines for submission, various compliances, those things. But the major issue before the handicraft exporters is MEIS. MEIS rates have been fixed highest for the handicraft sector. But this is going. Mm-hmm. So this year is the last year, December is the deadline. After that, it will be replaced by a new scheme, we call it RODTEP. The rates are yet to be fixed. when you are having very high rates for handicraft, you should have good rates for rod tape also. For that, the council has to educate the government.
Right, right.
What goes into the product, everything has to be taken into account, and government has to be educated.
Right.
And you have barely 1 or 2 months time to do this. So these are the two policy initiatives I thought I should mention. Third is again a big ambitious plan of nobody less than the Honorable Prime Minister about converting each district into export hub. So right now we are talking to all the states into converting 500 districts. We are identifying major items produced there, identifying artisans, and setting a mechanism in each of the districts. And we believe in the few years' time, next few years' time, we'll have thousands of new entrepreneurs, artisans going to the field of exports. And I'm sure many of them will be from the handicraft sector. So next is infrastructure. We know that we take a lot of time in transporting goods from the factory to the port, loading onto the ship. So the entire focus is on reducing that time and digitizing the supply chain. So you will see very focused initiative in the next few months on better connectivity between customs, GST and DGFT, SEZs and all. So I thought I should mention these points, and rest I'll take questions. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Srivastava. Thank you so much. So if you don't mind, one more question that we would have of you.
Sure.
What is it that you guys, the government is doing to boost exports, especially during this COVID situation? Are there any initiatives, especially given the COVID scenario in mind? Because we've had a lot of struggle with our suppliers who have been wanting some grants, some relief, some help from the government of India. So is there any plan underway for the handicraft industry?
I'll talk about the exports on the whole that
Right.
covers handicraft industry also. You must have seen in the initial period of lockdown, in the first week, they were very harrowing. There was a limited movement of the people and goods were almost not moving. Then you must have seen within a week, goods started moving. So we were keeping tab, but each state, each district, and the hotlines were established where sometimes even truckers were calling through those hotlines that they are being stopped, and we were talking to the concerned district magistrates and others to facilitate the movement. So that was ensuring the physical movement.
Right.
And second was about extending the compliances timelines. These two things, they come to my mind immediately. And you must have seen a slew of measures taken to promote exports from the MSME sectors through easy credit and other mechanisms.
Right, right. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. In fact, you were very true when it comes about creating these districts all across the country. I mean, there has been a lot of discussion where we are saying that currently it's the need that India produces more items like the Atmanirbhar policy that we have today, that things that we're currently importing from outside countries, we should be able to manufacture them in India. So if these districts actually come in place, I do believe we'll have a larger production base to take care of our import needs at least. Thank you so much for your guidance.
Actually, one question from my side to the council.
Please.
So I was noticing that last year we imported handicraft worth $780 million from the world. How much of this do we really need? And in context of Atmanirbhar Bharat, do you feel any measures government has to take? So we need to hear from you. Thank you very much.
Rakeshji, over to you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Srivastava. Very valid question. Everybody is waiting for that. We have, in fact, with us our Development Commissioner Handicraft, Mr. Shantmanu. I would just like to tell you that out of the total production of carpet and handicraft, 90% of the production of the carpet is being exported and 10% is being consumed in the domestic market. This is in the case of hand-knotted carpet. In case of handicraft, around 40% of the total production in the country that is being exported, and still 60% of the production that can be offered here within the country to the people. So definitely now the time has come. It is not only the Atmanirbhar Bharat, but also a lot of patriotic feelings have come in these times. People sentiments are now growing, and now people are definitely looking for the Indian products, Indian handmade products. And we are the one who are the net foreign exchange earner. We are the one who are making the indigenous material out of the products that are produced in the cottage sector by our own artisans. And we are now taking it very seriously. Now, this time, even our this virtual fair, the exporters have also opened their product for the domestic market. Lot of e-commerce company, those are working within the country. Lot of the retailers, even the Retailer Association of India has also been roped into this. So these big retailers like Shoppers Stop and many other retailers in the country, they are now coming to us, and they require the goods within the country. So definitely, we would totally catch the entire market. We would try to supply to the domestic market in a big way, because that way we will definitely be able to not only to serve to the artisans, but also to the sentiments of the people. One more thing I would like to add, that Development Commissioner Handicraft helped us in one of our proposal, where in around 14 HS line, we requested in the month of February that there should be some bound duty to be imposed. Commerce Ministry has also agreed to those 14 lines, even before lockdown. This notification was finalized, and in all the 14 lines there are additional duties that have been imposed, and these products include the furniture, the part of jewelry, there's a lamp and lighting, and many products which are going into the home, lifestyle, fashion and gift segment. We are now also preparing, in consultation with the IFT, a list of another 60 HS lines, where we would request Ministry of Commerce to help us and also basically protect the domestic industry, which is really feeling a kind of a dumping from China over here. I would also like to just add here as a last point that whatever China is exporting to other country is not even handicraft. They are all machine-made items. Whatever we are producing is all handmade handicraft products. And this is very important. This is to be highlighted by all our buying agents over there, and also all our buyers, that these are really the one items produced with not only the just by hand, but it is the basically soul and the spirit that goes into the manufacturing and the production of each and every item by the artisans of the country. So we normally call it a magic of the gifted hand of the artisans. So I think with this perspective, definitely we will also again enter into the domestic market. Our exporters were shying earlier, and I think they are now coming out, because India is also a part of the global village, and we will totally serve to as a total IK export market. Thank you, Ajay-ji. Thank you for raising this point.
Thank you, Rakesh. Thank you.
Thank you, Rakeshji. Thank you, Mr. Srivastav, so much for raising your points. Now we move on to Mr. Sudhir Garg. Sir, if you could unmute yourself. Thank you, Ji. Mr. Garg, what we would like to know from you today, you represent the MSME ministry, which is probably one of the key ministries today in the Indian economy. Now, obviously, we know that MSME has been a very active ministry. What are the reforms or the initiatives that government is doing to increase the production capacities of MSME? And if there is a particular weightage or a particular significance that you're giving to the handcraft sector or to all the export market sectors?
So good evening to everybody, and such a pleasure to be on this platform interacting with buyers and sellers. I must congratulate EPCH for creating this virtual reality platform where they're able to bring in all the buyers and sellers. Rakesh and Mr. Shantmanu, is a great initiative. And I think more and more such initiatives are required. And in this era of disruption, this new initiative will really bring in a lot of business in a different manner. So once again, congratulations to all of you. And I would like to bring out very clearly that in this country, MSMEs are the strength. MSMEs When I say are the strength, because that they have the capacity to learn quickly. They have the capacity to bring in a lot of changes very fast and to adopt new things. So with that strength and the vibrancy, hello?
We can hear you, sir.
Okay. And the vibrancy that is provided by MSMEs, that is the strength that we have vis-a-vis many of the countries, particularly China. China is based on mass manufacturing, and we have the capability to create new things. Creativity is the key for our products. And in this new era, where people want individualistic-oriented products, MSMEs can create solutions very quickly, new designs they can create. So on this strength, we have to now sail through. And another big strength that we have is in the handicraft is that they are the items which provide very low carbon footprints. So I really don't know whether we are getting the carbon footprinting done, but if we are able to do the carbon footprinting of the products that we are creating, then in this new era of green, we can certainly sell better. We are trying in the khadi sector, in the coir sector, which are both of them are green products, and we are doing carbon footprinting there. And with the mandate which Europe and America have to go for carbon neutral by 2040, it is a strength that we must encash upon. So with that, we are providing support to our coir sector, khadi sector, and other sectors to go for carbon footprinting. Now, one of the approach which Ministry of MSME is taking for development of MSMEs, particularly in this sector, is a cluster approach. And we know that when we join hand together, we become much, much more stronger than what we are individually. So this cluster approach is what we are progressing upon. Already around 300 clusters have been approved in various sectors of the handlooms and handicrafts. And with that, we are providing various kind of assistance to them in building some common facility centers, in marketing linkages, in financing of them, and also obviously building the technology aspects. Skilling is another area, because I strongly feel that sometime the traditional knowledge can become a handicap to me also, because I refuse to learn new things.
Correct.
So we are progressing with a scheme called lean manufacturing. Right. So this is one tool which has globally been experimented and has the strength to really change our thought process to bring us on the growth mindset, which is key for development. So this is one another tool which we are progressing, we are pushing. We have schemes in which we provide 80% subsidy to any MSME who want to use the lean manufacturing practices. Another key component is the design. Now, the design in my cultural aspect is one sort of a thing which we are already putting emphasis, we are developing, we are creating new designs. But again, these are in my cultural perspective. Now, globally, when I want to sell, then I must understand that what the global market requires. So I need to understand their cultural aspect, which one of the buyers also spoke about. So we have to create designs, new designs in looking into their perspective. So that is one strength I think we need to build up. And we have a scheme called design, MSME design, where again we provide around 80% subsidy for building the design capabilities by the MSMEs. And the experiment that we did have really paid very, very well. So I will encourage all the MSMEs to please visit a new portal that the ministry has created called champions.gov.in. I'll repeat, champions.gov.in. And on this portal, we have brought in all the schemes of the MSME, all the schemes of the Government of India, which can be harnessed by the MSMEs for their growth, particularly this sector. So cluster approach, when I said we have the scheme called Sfurti, under which we are providing support. In addition, we have another scheme called MSECDP, where larger support up to 20 crore rupees is available to a group of industries to build their capability to make large amount of products in variety and in quantity both. Because I heard some buyers saying that India has a challenge to provide large quantities in a shorter duration in a given time frame and also timely supply. So this is another scheme which we are providing, and large number of industries are joining hands in Tirupur, in Kunur, in this southern part of the country, in Gujarat, and also in Varanasi and these areas. In addition to that, quality is something which is very, very important nowadays in this era of digital, where a single feedback, a single negative feedback can turn the market against us. So this is one area we are again laying a lot of emphasis to our MSMEs that they must follow the quality aspects. They must ensure that quality is produced in a right manner. Products are produced in a right manner so that quality is ensured. So for that also we have a number of schemes. And for the individual industry to equip themselves with new equipment, we have another scheme called CLCSS, where subsidy of around 15% is available to buy new machinery and equipment. So, and one big change that we are trying to bring in is that by putting around 10,000 crore, that is around $1.5 billion, by putting these technology centers across the country. So we are putting 153 technology centers by investing around 10,000 crore across the country, so that we are able to meet this challenge of technology gap. So now any industry can go with their problem to these technology centers, and these are equipped with latest designs, latest softwares. So you can create your designs, you can seek whatever help you want to seek in the area of machines. So whatever new things you want to build up building, you can do that. So with that capability, these technology centers are coming up. Already around 33 have become operational. These 33 are big ones, and they have an investment of around 100 crore plus. And they have all the capabilities to help any of the MSMEs to do whatever they want to do. So we are also trying to work in the area of brand building. Mm-hmm. So we know today that Amul is a great brand. Anybody who sees the Amul brand, people just buy it. So branding is something which we have to now work. And we have in our cluster a thematic component under which we are trying to bring in various clusters together. Let's say the honey cluster, the handloom cluster, the handicraft cluster. So all these clusters we are trying to bring them together under a single brand, so that we can provide them a certification, so that once they have the certification, it means they are quality suppliers. So these are the few areas, and I would also like to encourage you to a new area called coir art. I don't know. I would like to encourage you to visit few of the places in Kerala where coir art is one of the finest art we have seen, and this is one area which has a huge potential for export as well. So I'll request EPCH to consider that product also to export the global markets. So with that, I think I hold at this stage.
Thank you so much, Mr. Garg. That in fact looks like a whole lot of activity that the MSME ministry is really working on. That was a really holistic view of what you've been doing. And it is very exciting to see that there is still a lot of hope for people who really want to expand their businesses and take things further in India. While all this is happening, Mr. Garg, there's another question that I would like to pose to you is, how do you ensure that these incentives, and you've enumerated them so well, how do you ensure that these actually reach the right people? They actually reach the people who need these incentives and grants. Is there a mechanism that has been set up by the ministry on this?
Yeah, I think very, very pertinent question. So, two things that we are doing, that we have a presence across the country. In every state, we have offices.
Mm-hmm.
So, and these people who are available in the state capital and across the various districts, they are very much approachable and they have a continuous touch with the industry.
Right.
So they conduct a number of workshops, they various outreach programs. So this is one thing. And second thing is that we have gone digital in every scheme. So when you visit our website, the Ministry's MSME website and the champion.gov.in, which I just talked about, you can apply in any of the scheme online, and you can give your problems also online. And we have now created around 60 round the clock, not round the clock, around 10 hours, 60 control rooms also across the country. So you raise a problem and you'll be reached immediately. So this is the platform that we have been able to create. And I want to share with you that I also talked to a few of the people, the complainants. And I was happy to know that the complainants said, "Sir, hamari to problem solve ho gayi hai." So it is such a heartening thing to note that people told me that whatever the problem they raised has been sorted out. So these 60 control rooms which are working across the country, these are day in, day out, sorting out all the problems of the people. So we are now reaching to the last people in the villages, in the small towns, and obviously in the cities and in the bigger cities. And the definition of the MSME, which we have now changed recently, is again bringing larger groups, every group in the MSME sector. And this definition is basically the philosophy that we take the micro to the small, small to the medium, and medium to the larger. So with that philosophy, we have brought in this MSME definition. And we think that this definition is going to bring in a lot of changes for the complete industrial sector.
Thank you, Mr. Garg. Thank you so much. It is actually very, very heartening for all of us to see the government ministries going virtual and digital in their efforts and initiatives. It's actually the new digital India. So I think our Prime Minister has very well kept his promise of actually making digital India. Thank you so much for sharing all the information. I'm sure it's been a great, great information to all our exporter people who are on the viewership today. Taking the discussion forward, Mridu, I'd like you to take this forward with the panelist.
Thank you, Anchal. That indeed was a very informative session. Thank you, sir, for apprising us with various schemes and policies of the government. We thank Mr. Shrivastava, Shri Sudhir Garg, and also Rakesh ji for this information. And now I would like to request the Director of Handicrafts, Government of India, Shri Shantamanu ji. He is the chief guest of our webinar here, and he's always been very, very supportive of our efforts here at EPCH. He's been very, very encouraging. He is an IAS officer of 91 batch JNK cadre and has held various positions of importance in various ministries. He's also served as Director of National Institute of Fashion Technology, Ministry of Textiles, Government of India. He's been Managing Director of JNK Power Development Corporation, Commissioner and Secretary of Forest Department, Commissioner and Secretary at the Industries and Commerce Ministry, Commissioner of Revenue Division, and so many other. Well, another very interesting aspect of sir is that he is a very ardent yoga practitioner, and he is dedicated to the development and promotion of handicrafts in a very earnest manner. And it's a pleasure and a privilege to have him, in the ministry as the Development Commissioner and as a great supporter of EPCH. So I would like to request you now to address all of us.
Thank you, Mridu. Namaskar to everyone. It is already 9:30,
Yes.
But of course, there are a few participants who, for them, it's morning or daytime. And I really thank EPCH for organizing this as a part of this virtual trade fair. And particularly the name is very striking, the Awakened Tiger. In fact, while listening to all these things in last 2 hours, I thought that now it should be renamed as not only Awakened, the aware tiger, and the spiritual tiger. So the tiger has to be spiritual also, otherwise it will become very, very fearful. And we know in our Hindu mythology, we consider tiger as the vehicle of goddess Lakshmi. It's a savari of goddess Lakshmi. Sher ki savari karti hai. And Lakshmi means wealth. So when tiger awakens, the wealth will always be there. And we also consider wealth not only the money in terms of money, but we have got Lakshmi. There are 8 types of wealth, So that's the holistic thing. I'm very much thankful to this format of interaction, because there's no barrier. There's no barrier of country, the mountains, or flight timings, or anything like that. So we have participants from USA, Germany, Argentina, and other places. While we started with very beautiful presentation by Anchal and Tamanna, and they really liked the presentations. I'd like to have a soft copy of both the presentations. And when we talk of Indian history, so I remember that even when we read, because I have been a student of anthropology also, apart from engineering. So whenever we find products of ancient period, whether be it the cloth, remains of the terracotta, or the tools, or the utensils, they're basically the handicraft products, and they tell us about our rich culture, rich heritage. So we know now the strength of Indian handicraft, Indian culture is very well known to everyone. The only thing I would like to add here is about the design part, because at the same time I'm also Director General of NIFT. That is my additional introduction. For the last 1 year, I am also holding the charge of PG NIFT, now having 17 campuses all over India. And so our job there is, of course, to train students, and most of our students join their export houses or some other companies, and they give their new ideas to these products. But at the same time, what we do during the vacation period, summer vacation, we send students to the clusters, and they stay with the artisans, they stay with the weavers, and it's a win-win situation. They learn from each other. So that is also our strength. This ultimately that is translated into the quality of the products. We had some very good suggestions from buyers, very good suggestions from our friends in different embassies all over the world. I have noted all those down, and many of these we are already taking care of that. When we listen to the buyers who are happy buyers, at the same time, we should also listen to unhappy buyers. I mean, particularly the IFTs, I know, is conducting a study. So we should have a detailed study on, like, whenever some competitive exam is held, I know everybody interviews the one who tops the class. But one should also interview the persons who could not make it. Maybe he will also give you some insight. So similarly, there are some unhappy buyers, the buyers who did not come at all to India, the buyers who came here just once. So rejected buyers. So IFT will, I think, cover that aspect also. That is very, very important. When we are talking of cluster things, Mr. Sudhir Garg talked in detail about that. Here, I will also like to inform this August gathering that we also in this Department of Handicraft, Ministry of Textile, have selected few clusters which we call export-oriented clusters. We do have some normal clusters, that is the cluster approach on which we work. But last year, we identified few export clusters, of course, in consultation with EPCH and other council on carpet CPC. So on in that export clusters, all range of activities of scaling, the toolkit distributions and other things are there. But everything is oriented towards the promotion of export. So that is one thing. There was one question from Mr. Srivastav that how should we reduce this import part? So here I would like to say that, of course, there will be one segment of society amongst us only who would like to have some imported items in their houses. So beyond a point, we cannot import Rather, we are focusing more on increasing our export so that it ultimately reaches a reasonable level. Then that import looks very, very small compared to that increased export. We got some very good points from our buyers, that trust relationship, building relationship, capacity building. So these things we should focus upon. And we also got some issues. In fact, I was reading this chat box also. There are few suggestions from the persons. So everything has been noted here. And maybe after once this year is over, then we would like to discuss with the officers, the Rakeshji and other officers of EPCH, and work out the modalities to make it more productive and more effective. So I think these are the few things I just wanted to say at the end. You know, it's always very, very interesting to speak at the end when everything, whatever you wanted to say has already been told. That is the minus point of it. And the plus point is that you can pick up anything from anyone who has said in the past and then bring it together. But the only thing which was very interesting to me here is when particularly Tamanna spoke about yoga, spirituality and music and all those things. Because all these things are so dear to me. I'm a practitioner, I'm an art of living teacher also. And I take classes. Many of the EPCH employees are my students in that way also. And I have learned classical music also, instrumental music. Yeah, so instrumental music, because when we look at everything looks in harmony. So be it handicraft, be it music, be it yoga, and be it relationship development, building relationship with different countries, the buyer-seller relationship. Everything is so musical and harmonious that way. So and this thing came out during the last 4 months of this lockdown. This yogic way of life, which we have been learning in the past, we have been leading in the past, that has come in a big way. Has come to the forefront. In fact, when I learned that this is from 7:30, around 6:30, I went home, had a quick early dinner. So now the dinner time has been preponed from 9 p.m. to say 7 p.m., which is the right time to have dinner. So 7 p.m. I went back and came back again to office, and now I'm sitting in office leisurely. And frankly speaking, I'm very much educated now. I mean, many of these points are, of course, we have been dealing in the last 3 years, day in, day out. But still, coming from the mouths of the buyers, coming from our friends and embassies, coming from our exporters, and coming from our colleagues in different ministries, that gives a strength to whatever we are doing. And we did pick a few 4 or 5 points, which we will develop in the near future. So thank you very much, the organizer, the EPCH. In fact, when you call me chief guest, it looks very awkward to me because I always feel I'm a chief host. I'm a part of the system. So, but anyway, this is how we do it. I think whatever main 2-3 points I have noted down, I have spoken about. And finally, I would just like to say this thing that, as I said in between, that as we take pride that I have this thing I have brought from this particular country, I have this Belgium glass, I have this carpet from this country. Similarly, I wish that is our dream, that in every house of the world, there should be some product from India. And then the person who is staying there, the house owner, takes pride in showing that, see, this is the product from India, and he or she takes pride in that. So that should be our vision. Thank you very much, and namaskar.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for being with us all throughout. You've summarized it so very well. You associated tiger with strength and courage and Ma Durga. You must also be knowing that, literally tigers have awoken. They have... I
am so sorry. I spoke
India, yes.
not Durga. Yeah, that was a mistake. Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
So yeah, India is now home to 3,000 tigers, a third more than what we had 4 years ago. So they have literally woken up.
Yeah, very great.
So it was great having you all. I would now request Mr. R.K. Verma, Executive Director, EPCH, to present his vote of thanks.
Thank you, Murduji, and namaskar to all. It is my proud privilege to propose a vote of thanks to all the panelists who have joined us from all across the globe. To begin with, I would like to thank to Sri Sant Manuji, Development Commissioner Handicraft, for accepting our invitation to be the chief guest of today's panel and discuss and share his experience, particularly the yoga and his interest in the spirituality.
we are, as a EPCH, we also join your classes. Many thanks goes to Mr. Sudhir Garg, Joint Secretary, MSME, for sharing his new initiative by MSME for the new entrepreneur and how the direct benefit can be availed by the end users. My thanks also goes to Mr. Ajay Kumar Srivastava, Additional DGFT, Ministry of Commerce, Government of India. Special thanks to Mr. Manoj Mahapatra, Ministry of Commerce, Embassy of India, Washington, DC, and for sharing his valuable comments, particularly the US study. He has mentioned that some consignment was held there, and our Director General, Mr. Rakesh Kumar, already requested to the Dr. Tamanna Chaturvedi to kindly consider these facts while conducting such a study. I'm especially also His Excellency Mr. B.S. Mubarak from the Guatemala, thanks to him, and Mr. Manjesh Grover, CGI Office, Vancouver, for joining this webinar. I would like to thanks to all the buyers, industry chambers who have joined today all across the globe. Mr. Alberto Arsalo from Argentina, our old friend, Mr. Alec from Brazil, Mr. David Moon, Mr. Tim Oak, Ms. Tamra Bryant from USA, and Mr. George Messing from the Germany. Especially, they have given a new guidance to our participants and the exporters that Indians should export us their strength. They should not copy to the China. So we have make our strength and focus to that. I would like to thanks to Mr. Ravi K. Pasi, Chairman EPCH, Shri Vishal Dhingra Ji, Chairman VAA, Dr. Tamanna Chaturvedi, Consultant IIFT, Shri Rakesh Kumar Ji, Director General EPCH, and the main force for this, our motivation for this this program. Mr. R.K. Malhotra, Ms. Kristen Ray, Chief Patron of BA, and but not last, Achal Kansal. I think Mr. Vishal Dhingra has defined you very well. So thank you very much, all participants, those who have joined today this webinar. Thank you and good night.
So thank you all once again. In India, it's time to say good night. To others, we say have a good day. Thank you. Namaste.
Namaste.
Thank you all. Thank you. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, everybody.